Hi, guys. Fernandes Limbo on the grid. John, a little chilly out there today. You were just commenting that you were walking the dog at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, she got me up early
right?
in the dark. And like I said, woke me up, though. Got me off to a great start.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mainlining caffeine.
I woke up and I wanted to go right back to bed.
I did too, but I had to walk the dog.
You know, I know before we start, I know we always talk about, you know, we put the link out there for the thing, but we always tell people you can find us on YouTube.
Right.
And basically, if you type in On the Grid or your name or my name.
On the Grid. And I also link it to my Twitter account.
Right.
John Lembo 1878. Also, we put it on the HT Preps Facebook page.
Right.
So there are a lot of different ways to find us, and you found us, but there are a lot of ways to find us. So.
Defern Sports on my Twitter account.
Yeah,
and
we're out there.
Even if you don't want to find us, you'll find us. You'll find us. And we should mention that the all-area team is coming out January 28th.
Yeah.
I think my most yeoman performance was getting 28 kids to show up here for photographs.
Yeah.
I think Mike took some of them, but that would be a nice package coming out end of the month.
Yeah. The entire fall. I know it's taking a little longer, but we do that nice big spread now with the special supplement and getting all the kids out. And a little different this year. Instead of picking our player of the year for each sport, we're picking 3 finalists for each sport. And then hopefully at our banquet we'll name the player of the year for each sport. So a little bit of drama this year. I've
gotten some calls from coaches like, who's the winner? When's it going to be announced? I'm like, can you wait a couple of months, coach?
Right. I mean, some things may be a little self-explanatory. You might kind of know who the winner is, but we're going to announce them in a few months.
So that'll be something to look forward to at the banquet. And we'll be announcing who our guest speaker will be. Coming up.
I want to know
very, very shortly. Apparently, it's going to be released in one of my columns. I guess I have to write it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's talk about wrestling.
Yes,
I know there was some
sport that I like a whole lot. Yes,
Lemon Bay and Charlotte moving on to the 1A.
What it is, this year. Obviously, you know they're having a dual team tournament.
Right.
So Charlotte in 1A, Charlotte in 2A. I'm sorry, and Lemon Bay in 1A are wrestling for the regional finals. That's going to be Friday at Osceola High School in Kissimmee. If they win, the state semifinals are Saturday morning. And then if they win those, the state dual finals are Saturday night. Now, don't confuse these with the individual wrestling tournaments, which get underway, I think, mid-February, February 17th. That's when the districts start. They still have those. This is for the team. So you're wrestling pretty much for the team dual championship. And Lemon Bay and Charlotte are still alive in their classifications. Lemon Bay wrestles McKeel Academy, and Charlotte wrestles Fort Myers Riverdale. So 2A3 for Charlotte, 1A3 for Lemon Bay. You win your regional final, then Saturday morning you wrestle in the state semifinal. You know,
there's really no surprise Lemon Bay. I mean, I've been here a long time. Mike Schick, who's not to be confused with Chuck Schick. That's an old Caddyshack reference.
Oh, yeah, believe me, I know.
You know that.
I know my Caddyshack
You do.
Yes.
But Mike Schick went 68 and 0 in his senior year as a man. So it's kind of expected they'd have a pretty good team.
Well,
Did
not
you cover
always.
Charlotte
I mean,
too?
I've seen Charlotte a lot this year. They're really good. They're really stout.
Right.
And it's tough too because unlike I was in Pennsylvania for a while, and they actually have a dual meet season where they wrestle like 20 dual meets regular season, and they move on. Here, you kind of get your team ready for districts and regionals, so there aren't too many teams around here with a full lineup of guys. And Charlotte really does. They're really good. They're going to have some guys, if they don't make any noise this weekend, they're going to have some guys back in Kissimmee for the individuals in a couple in March. They're really good. But I think they're the best team in the area. They rolled through the Palmetto tournament last weekend. They got studs, and they have these lightweights, middleweights who are really good. Upperweights, they struggle a little bit, but their lightweights, middleweights are really good. And they made a tough team to beat this weekend up at Kissimmee Osceola High.
What is it about wrestling? I mean, some of the familiar names you hear over and over again, but just the sport itself. It's very demanding. It's very sort of solo within the team aspect. Not everybody's made to be a wrestler, right?
No, I mean, I think wrestling is kind of like football in a sense of if you don't want to be at wrestling practice, it might be the worst place to be. Because of how hard you have to work and the whole thing with cutting weight, gaining weight. And I love the sport. I think it's really cool. It's kind of like you cover a wrestling tournament, there's so many stories because so many individuals. But yeah, it's a special sport. And I think one of the hardest things to do in this state is to medal at the state wrestling tournament. And we'll see that in about a month, a little more than a month.
Years ago, I've covered a couple of state wrestling tournaments, and it's pretty neat. You just walk around. There's action going on all the mats.
If it's your first one, it's very daunting. because you walk in and you're right, it's just wall-to-wall wrestlers.
Right.
But if you know who to watch or where to watch, it's a lot of fun, and you do your best to try and preview who the best matches will be. But you always have upsets, surprises, kids coming out of nowhere, so it's a lot of fun. My favorite thing to cover is the state wrestling tournament.
How about girls weightlifting? Dennis Maffezoli did a nice story. Charlotte's Lexi Sweet, 139 pounds. 2 years ago, she wasn't lifting. Brianna Jacobs, 3-time state champion, convinced her to go lift. And now she is heading to the state tournament next month in Panama City.
February 2nd
Panama
and
City
3rd.
Beach.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Nice story.
Yeah, it is. And weightlifting is another sport that's kind of become a sport in itself. It used to be, you use that sport to get ready for other sports, and now it's its own sport. And that's a pretty fun sport, too. You got the clean and jerk and the bench press. And I think the regional, the champion of each weight class automatically advances.
Right.
And then the other ones will be kind of in a pool for at-large wildcard berths. So we won't know the whole field until a few days to see who's going to state in 1A and 2A for the area.
We mentioned Lexi's name. We also might as well mention Charlotte's Natalie Jen, Brittany Augustine, Northport Caitlin Lacey, Bree Sepulveda, and Ariana Kerr of Venice. They're also all moving on.
And Natalie Jen almost won the pole vault state title in the spring for Charlotte. So good athlete there.
What else? What else? Am I missing anybody when it comes to weightlifting? Or
well, I'm sure there are some kids that are going to advance we don't know about now who didn't win their weight class. But again, that's the FHSA announces a list in a couple of days to see who's going. It all depends on kind of they take the regionals and they compare them to other regionals, and hopefully if you didn't win your weight class, you got one of those wild card berths to get there. Once you get there, it's kind of a new playing field. And, you try and lift and outlift the next person. Everybody always likes to hear a little football news, and we got a little bit. We had it in the paper. Northport. Liquid Ranch. Liquid Ranch, excuse me, looking for another... Relax, Northport. Yeah, right. Looking for another head coach. Right. Mick Kozasut is heading out, 14-22 record. You hear stories about guys leaving because they want to be with the family, and I tend to look at those reasons. At least he was honest. He says, I like coaching. I just don't want to be the top guy anymore. Right, and it's funny. You hear about that. I know when Coach Meckley stepped down from Southeast and went to Mooney, he's like, this is great. I don't have to worry about paperwork. I don't have to worry about all. I just go, I coach, I go home. I think a lot of these guys, they love the X's and the O's, and they love the being with the kids. It's the other stuff that they don't like. The paperwork, grades, all the administration stuff we don't know about. So, yeah, it's cool that he was honest about that, and I can't blame him. I mean, again, if you don't enjoy it, I'm sure he wants to be involved somehow. He coached for a long time as an assistant at Palmetto and Ranch. Also coached softball at Lakewood Ranch. Coaches weightlifting at Lakewood Ranch. Really good guy. I like Mick a lot. So hopefully, he stays around the area and stays involved in athletics. We always talk about these coaches working hard. Football coaches work hard. They all do. But when you're working that hard to get that sort of supplement and the time it's involved, you really have to balance my time versus what I'm getting in return for this. And you did a story a couple years ago on kind of what it amounts to in terms of how much work these guys put in Peacock with their stipend. Peacock won the state title. He's like, you're going to write another story about how I need more money? I'm like, I'll get back to you, John. But you're absolutely right. They work hard, and they got to get right back after it. Right. It's tough. So, we'll see who Lakewood Ranch hires. I'm curious who they're going to. Well, I'm sure that'll attract some people. I mean, it's a head coaching job, and so we'll see. In the area, in the greater area. Right, and you go into a spot where you don't have a ton of pressure. They've kind of struggled the last few years, so you can go and hey, you win 7-8 games, you're a hero. But it's a tough district. Braden River, Venice. So, but Sarasota, that dovetails into our next topic. Yes, they have their finalists in Sarasota, another district team. The 8 finalists down. They've winnowed it down to 8. Mark Christiani, John Warren, Baraka Atkins. I don't have any sort of look into who they might be looking at. Right. But Baraka was on that staff as an assistant, moved over, joined his brother at Booker. Yeah. So he knows the staff over there. He knows some of the players. Yeah. Maybe he's the top guy, but we don't know. There's no timetable for this either. And we don't know what they're looking for exactly. We're not in the room. They ask the questions. I mean, all we see are resumes and credentials. But I'm always curious how this turns out. It's always a lot of times we're throwing curveballs. A lot of times somebody who we thought we'd get it. So we'll see who they pick out of those 8. Basketball has also been going on. We had the tournaments, but anything you'd like to say basketball-wise? I was at Braden River St. Stephen's last night. I'll be doing a story in Tuesday's Herald-Tribune about St. Stephen's boys basketball. Haven't been to the regional in nearly 20 years, and this year they're 5-1 in region. Their district, they're 10-7 overall. Lost in overtime to Braden River last night. They beat Braden River earlier this year. So they've really turned things around there at St. Stephen's, and we're going to have Mike Lang took photos last night. So look for Tuesday's Herald-Tribune, some good photos, and the story about the St. Stephen's boys hoops team kind of coming around and trying to make a regional for the first time since 99. 1999? Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
Who else? I mean, I haven't seen enough basketball games.
Well,
I mean,
Lakewood Ranch.
Who are the studs out there?
Lakewood Ranch has some good play. I'll be at the Lakewood Ranch tomorrow night. They host Braden River. Should be a big game out there. They're calling for a green out at Lakewood Ranch.
Yeah.
Booker obviously having a great year. So I think Braden and Christian have another good year. So those teams I think kind of spring out on the boys' side of things. The girls' side, I think it's Braden River, Northport. Those are the two best teams by far in the area for the girls.
What else?
Well, district soccer starts next week. Lakewood Ranch, Manatee, 5A8. That should be interesting. As always, I think it's those two teams. Kind of Lakewood Ranch always seems to have the edge in the finals, so we'll see if Manatee can kind of end that drought and win the district championship. And then we start going. It's girls and boys, then girls hoops, boys hoops, wrestling. So now it gets really fun. And the season's 2/3 of the way over.
You know, we talked about this after the end of the football season, that this would be right upon us, and it is upon us, and it's really flying, just like football season
pretty soon it's going to be baseball season, and track season, and softball season, and spring football. Oh.
We got a couple of, it's not prep related, but we got a couple of games coming up Sunday that I think is the best Sunday on the NFL calendar.
Maybe.
Who do you like?
I like Jacksonville.
You do? You like that defense, right?
I like Tom Coughlin.
You like Tom Coughlin?
He's Bill Belichick's kryptonite.
Right, and how about the other one? How about the other game?
I like Philadelphia.
You like Philadelphia? Home field advantage?
If it was in Minnesota, I'd say Minnesota.
Right.
But I like Philadelphia.
Well, I'm going with New England, and I'm going with Philadelphia also. So a rematch of the Super Bowl.
Going with New England. How objective of you.
Right. Read all about it in tomorrow's Herald-Tribune.
Right.
So what else before we sign off here?
Well, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on the Lakewood Ranch coaching search, Sarasota coaching search, and district soccer.
Right. And hopefully it warms up out here.
Yes. Yes, outdoor sports next week. So
exactly. So we got all that and more covered next week on the Grid. So for Limbo, for Fernandez, see you next week on the Grid.